So, for technical students, this topic is very important, that whole calculus is very important. This is an extended phenomena of limit. Extended phenomenon of limit. We use the concept of limit to get the derivative of a function, or we will call it as differentiation. So, what is differentiation? It is a process. It is a process of getting derivative of a function. Then what is derivative of a function? That is very important. To understand the derivative of a function, we need little knowledge of other definitions, that is increments. Increment. What is increment? If you take generally a person A is drawing a salary of 5,000 for the month of March. After 1 year, again for the same month of salary will be 5,500, or you can call 5,100. So, the person's salary is hiked by 100 rupees. It is a small change in his salary. So, this small change in the salary will be called as an increment for that person. This 5,100 minus 5,000 is equal to 100. This will be called as increment of person A in his salary. So, we got it. Increment is nothing but the change in the value. So, it may be it decreased, or it may be the increase. Sometime in some company the salary may be reduced by 100 rupees or 200 rupees. That difference will be called as the increment. The same concept can be extended for the functions. Let us take x is variable, y is variables. For these variables, if I increase little amount for x, if I increase for x by delta x, so x plus delta x, or in case of y it can be taken as y plus delta y. So, delta x and delta y, they are called small change. Delta x and delta y are small change. The small change in these two variables x and y are called as increment. You just remember, increment is small change in variables. Small change in variable, that is called as what? Increment. Increments always denoted in case of x we will write delta x, or we can also write this delta x. For y we can write it as delta y, or we can write this small delta y. In case of t we can use delta t or this delta. This is known as increment. So, remember, increment is a small change in a given variable, that is called as a increment. Now, let us see what is the derivative of a function, or it can also be called as differential coefficient. It is also called differential coefficient of a given function. I mentioned that differentiation is a process of getting derivative of a function. So, derivative of a function, or we can call it as differential coefficient of a function. To get the derivative of any function, we need to follow this process, that is, we need to follow certain steps. That is the procedure we need to follow to get derivative of any function or differential coefficient of any function. In general, I will consider y is equal to f of x. It is what? It is a function. It is a function. In this function, y is equal to f of x. X is independent variable, y is dependent variable. I add as x changes to x plus delta x. I am increasing little value for x, automatically there will be an increase in y. Then y changes to y plus delta y. Therefore, y plus delta y is equal to f of x plus delta x. ಯಾವಾಗ ನಿಮಗೆ x ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಆಗ ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕಲಿ y ನಲ್ಲಿ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ x ಅನ್ನ x ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಡೆಲ್ಟಾ x ಅಂತ ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ y ನ y ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಡೆಲ್ಟಾ y ಅಂತ ತಗೋತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರಿಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್. ಡೆಲ್ಟಾ x and delta y are what? They are all increments in x and y. Next, I will take only delta y. This delta y becomes what? The y is transferred to the right side, that means f of x plus delta x minus y. Now, what is y? Y is given by f of x. You substitute in place of y. Delta y is equal to f of x plus delta x minus f of x. Then you divide both side by delta x. Therefore, delta y divided by delta x is equal to f of x plus delta x minus f of x whole divided by f of delta x. As I mentioned at the beginning, what is differentiation? Differentiation is a extended phenomena of limit. That's why we have to take limit on both side. Take limit on both side. Therefore, limit of delta y by delta x as delta x tends to 0, that is equal to limit of delta x tends to 0 f of x plus delta x minus f of x whole divided by delta x. If I take delta x is equal to 0, anything by 0 is infinity. Here this is 0, f of x minus f of x, that is 0 by 0. We will get 0 by 0, that is indefinite form. So we should not take delta x is equal to 0. Suppose if I assume that the right hand side limit exists, if the right hand side limit, if this limit exists, then the left hand side limit is taken as dy by dx. If right hand side limit exists, then limit as delta x tends to 0, delta y divided by delta x is always be taken as dy by dx. This is called the derivative of a function. I will call d by dx is derivative of function y with respect to x, or it is also called as differential coefficient of a function. To get derivative of any function, we have to follow these steps. These steps or the procedure what we followed is also called getting derivative of a function from first principle. This is called first principle method. So, what are the steps we have to follow? You take any general function, it should be in x. Then we have to change, or we have to include its increment. X changes to x plus delta x, then y changes to y plus delta y. Therefore, the given function reduces to y is equal to f of x, reduces to what? Y plus delta y become f of x plus delta x. Next step, I take this y to the right side, transferring the a y term from left side to the right side. So, this is minus y. What is y? Y is given by y is equal to what? F of x, that is substituted. Then you divide both the sides, both left hand side and right hand side, with delta x. Therefore, it become what? Delta y by delta x is equal to f of x plus delta x minus f of x divided by delta x. As I mentioned that differentiation is the extended phenomena of limit. Therefore, let us take the limit on both sides as delta x tends to 0. Taking limit on both sides as delta x tends to 0. Therefore, limit of delta x tends to 0, delta y by delta x is equal to limit of, I am taking limit on both sides, that is all, f of x plus delta x minus f of x divided by delta x. Actually, if you take delta x is equal to 0, this will become 0 by 0 indeterminate form. That is why I am assuming that if the right hand side limit exists for any indeterminate form, you can get the limit of that function. So, that is discussed in the last topic. Then if the right hand side limit exists, then I can take the left hand side limit, that is limit of delta x tends to 0 as delta y by delta x is equal to dy by dx. This d by dx is the derivative of a function with respect to x, or it is also called differential coefficient of a function. Why I repeated? I am repeating this because we have to follow the same steps for any given function. Definitely you will have one question on getting derivative of some given function using first principle method. The same steps we have to follow. Okay. Then let us take some particular functions in place of f of x. Let us take some particular functions. derivatives of some functions from first principle method. Definitely you will have one question on this. They will ask for 5 marks. First one, I take let y is equal to x to the power of n. X to the power of n. N may be positive or negative or fraction. You can take n is positive or negative or fraction. So, what is first step in getting derivative of function? First step is, as x changes to x plus delta x, automatically y changes to y plus delta x. X changes to x plus delta x, then y changes to y plus delta y, where delta x and delta y are what? Delta x and delta y are increments in x and y respectively. Therefore, the given function reduces to y plus delta y is equal to x become what? X become x plus delta x to the power of n is there, you take the power n. Now, what is next step? This is first step, taking x as x plus delta x, then y become y plus delta y, that is included for the given function. Okay. The next step is what? We have to take the y term to the right side, isn't it? Therefore, delta y is equal to x plus delta x to the power of n minus y. Y, what is y? Y is equal to x to the power of n, that is included. Delta y is equal to x plus delta x to the power of n minus y is equal to what? Y is equal to x to the power of n. Then our next step is what? We have to divide by delta x on both sides. This left hand side as well as right hand side is divided by delta x on both sides. Therefore, it become what? Delta y divided by delta x is equal to x plus delta x to the power of n minus x to the power of n all divided by delta x. Then next step is, it is a procedure, that is all. Next step is what? Taking limit on both sides, taking limit as delta x tends to 0 on both sides. Therefore, limit of delta x tends to 0, delta y divided by delta x is equal to limit of delta x tends to 0, x plus delta x to the power of n minus x to the power of n divided by delta x. Then we have to get the limit of this right hand side. The left hand side become what? Left hand side, it is standard. Limit of delta x tends to 0 of delta y by delta x is always called as what? Dy by dx. Then we have to get the limit of the right hand side. You just look at the right hand side limit. This right hand side limit is of this form. You assume that there is a standard limit in the limit, as limit of x to the power of n minus a to the power of n divided by x minus a, as x tends to a is what? We have derived it, n into a to the power of n minus 1. By little alteration for the right hand side limit, you can make this into the standard limit. Then in place of x, what is there? In place of x, we have x plus delta x n is there, minus in place of a what is there, here we have n. At the denominator we do not have x minus a form. So, x is x plus delta x minus a is what, x. To get the standard form at the denominator, I will add x and subtract x, that is limit delta x tends to 0, delta y divided by delta x is equal to limit delta x tends to 0, x plus delta x to the power of n minus x to the power of n whole divided by, we have a delta x, right. For delta x, I will add x and subtract x. Just I have added x and subtracted x to delta x. Then I will make this into a group. See, x to the power of n minus a to the power of n divided by x minus a. We got standard form. What about the limit? Limit is what, x tends to a, x is what, x plus delta x tends to, we should have a is what, x. For that I will do like this, limit, I will add x on both side. I am adding x to delta x and 0 to x, 0 plus x, that 0 plus x become what, x only. So, as x tends to a of x plus delta x to the power of n minus x to the power of n divided by x plus delta x minus x, exactly it is of this standard form. The left hand side limit is always, it is standard. What we have to take? It is taken as dy divided by dx is equal to, according to the standard limit, this right hand side limit become what, n is there, n into, in place of a what we have x to the power of n minus 1, dy by dx is equal to n into x to the power of n minus 1, that is, remember, d by dx of y, what is y is equal to x to the power of n. Differentiation of x to the power of n is always n into x to the power of n minus 1. Here n may be positive or it may be negative, or you can take it as a fraction. This is the procedure we have to follow to get the derivative of any function. Now, you got it. What is differentiation? Differentiation is nothing but procedure we have to follow to get derivative of a function. That is why I mentioned that differentiation is the phenomena of getting derivative of a function. To get the derivative of function, we have to follow the certain steps. This is called the first principle method, right. X to the power of n, whose derivative is what, n into x to the power of n minus 1. You take example for this, this is very important. Example for x to the power of n, differentiation of x. According to mathematics, dx by dx cancels, you will get 1. How it will be correct? According to this formula, what is power of x? 1 n into x to the power of n minus 1, that is 1 into anything is same thing, x to the power of 0, x to the power of 0, anything to the power of 0 is what, 1 only. That is why derivative of x is always 1. Otherwise you can remember like this, if dx cancel, you will get 1. Derivative of x with respect to x is always 1. d by dx of x square, What is n? N is 2, x to the power of 2. According to the formula, x to the power of n derivative is what? N into x to the power of n minus 1. N into what is n? 2 into x to the power of 2 minus 1. That is 2 into x to the power of 1, or you just call it as 2x. Derivative of x is 1. Derivative of x square is 2x. So, we are finding derivative with respect to x only, right. Next one, differentiation of x cube. Differentiation of x cube is equal to, what is n? N is 3. 3 into x to the power of 3 minus 1, that is 3 into x square. Differentiation of, we can take root x. That root x should be taken in the power of n, that is d by dx of x to the power of half. Here what is n? N is fraction, that is half. You write according to the formula, n into, what is n? Half into x to the power of n minus 1. Half minus 1. Half minus 1 is what? Minus half, right. 1 by 2 into x to the power of half minus 1, that is minus half. Otherwise, you can also take like this, 1 divided by x to the power of plus half. When we transfer a term from numerator to denominator or denominator to numerator, whose powers sign become changes. You see, we have a power of negative. When it is transferred to the denominator, whose power become what? Plus. Again, you consider in the reverse, as root x is taken as x to the power of half, then x to the power of half is taken as what? Root x. You remember, differentiation of root x. Differentiation of root x is always 1 divided by 2 root x. You directly remember it. Differentiation of root x is always 1 by 2 root x, right. You see other examples. D by dx of, suppose if it is like this, 1 by x is there. If the x term at the denominator, we should not write its derivative directly. Differentiation of x is 1. We should not write differentiation of this is equal to 1 by 1. That is wrong. This is not equal to 1 by 1. Then what we have to do? We have to take this into x to the power of 1. What is power of x? 1. When it is taken to numerator, whose power become what? Minus 1. Now it is of this form, x to the power of n. I mentioned that n may be positive or n may be negative or n may be fraction. N into x to the power of n minus 1, that is minus 1 into x to the power of minus 2, or you can take it as minus of minus 2 or minus 1 by x square. D by dx of 1 by x square, it will become what? D by dx of x to the power of minus 2. The power is transferred to, or the term, denominator term is taken to numerator, whose power become opposite sign. What is n? Minus 2 into x to the power of minus 2 minus 1, or minus 2 into x to the power of minus 3, or you can call it as minus 2 divided by x cube. When the power is 1, it will become what? Minus of power divided by x to the power of power plus 1. Suppose power is 2, n, see, minus n divided by x to the power of n plus 1, and that means you can remember in general differentiation of 1 by x to the power of n as, you remember, differentiation of 1 by x to the power of n as minus n. So, for 1 we have minus 1, for 2 we have minus 2. According to that, for n we will have minus n divided by x to the power of 2 is what? 1 plus 1, 3 is what? 2 plus 1, therefore, n plus 1. Generally, you remember that differentiation of 1 by x to the power of n with respect to x is equal to minus n divided by x to the power of n plus 1. You can consider it as general term as like x to the power of n. In the same way, let us find the derivative of trigonometric function. Second one, if I take y is equal to sin x. This is very important for the examination point of view. Follow the steps. What is first step? We have to change x as x plus delta x, then y becomes what? Y plus delta y. As x changes to x plus delta x, then automatically y changes to y plus delta y, where delta x and delta y are what? Delta x and delta y are increments in x and y, the same procedure. Therefore, y plus delta y is equal to sin of x plus delta x. Wherever we have x, we have to take it as x plus delta x. Then next step, what is next step? We have to take y to the right side. Therefore, it become delta y is equal to sin of x plus delta x minus y. Next, we have to replace y its value, y by its value. What is its value? Its value is equal to sin x. Therefore, delta y is equal to sin of x plus delta x minus y. Y is equal to what? Sin x. After that, we need to divide with delta x on both sides, isn't it? Therefore, divide by delta x on both side. Therefore, it become delta y divided by delta x is equal to sin of x plus delta x minus sin x divided by delta x. Next step, we have to take limit on both sides, correct? Taking limit as delta x tends to 0 on both sides. It become limit of delta x tends to 0, delta y divided by delta x is equal to limit of delta x tends to 0 sin of x plus delta x minus sin x divided by delta x. So, we followed the same steps. If I take delta x is equal to 0, it become what? 0, sin x minus sin x, sin x minus sin x is 0 by 0, again it will become undefined form. Therefore, what we have to do? We have to go for limits. We have to find the limit in different method. So, what method we have to follow here? We have to follow that it is considered as sin c minus sin d formula. Use sin c minus sin d formula. Sin c minus sin d is equal to what? 2 cos c plus d divided by 2 into sin of c minus d by 2. Here what is c? C is x plus delta x, isn't it? Sin of c is what? X plus delta x minus d. What is d? D is x. D is x. You write according to that. Limit as delta x tends to 0, delta y divided by delta x is equal to limit of delta x tends to 0 sin x plus delta x minus sin x divided by delta x can be taken according to this formula, trigonometric formula 2 into cos of what is c? C is x plus delta x plus d. What is d? D is equal to x divided by 2 into sin of x plus delta x minus d. What is d? D is x whole divided by 2. This divided by what? We have this delta x. Then you simplify the right hand side limit. Limit as delta x tends to 0 to cos of x plus x is 2x plus delta x divided by 2 into sin of x minus x, they get cancelled, x cancel, we have remaining is delta x divided by 2. Whole divided by delta x is there. See, numerators are 2 into cos into sin, they are all product, no. That is why the denominator term can be taken at anywhere, either at the denominator of 2 or at the denominator of cos or at the denominator of sin. If I take as a denominator of sin, it will be useful. Why? See, this can be converted into a standard limit. What is standard limit? Limit of theta tends to 0 sin theta divided by theta is equal to what? 1, no. So, according to that, if I take delta x by 2, then it will become standard limit whose value become 1. You can convert that into standard form as limit delta x tends to 0 to cos 2x plus delta x divided by 2 into sin of delta x by 2. For that I will multiply and divide by 2. This 2 and this 2 get cancelled. For the product of the functions, the same limit can be extended for both, isn't it? Limit of this, limit of this. So, this will become what? It is a standard form as delta x tends to 0, sin of delta x by 2 by delta x by 2 become 1. The right hand side become, we have to apply the limit, this is 1 into cos of 2x plus delta x is 0. But what about left hand side? Left hand side is always standard, we have to take it as dy by dx. It is a differential coefficient or it is a derivative of function. Cos into 2x plus 0 divided by 2 into what? It is 1. It is 1. Then 2 get cancelled. Finally, we will have only cos x. So, differentiation of sin x, differentiation of sin x is always cos x. That is the answer. Differentiation of sin x is what? Differentiation of sin x is cos x. This is very important. Next, you can change the for cos. See, I will take cos x, y is equal to cos x, then as x changes to x plus delta x, then y changes to y plus delta y. Therefore, the cos become cos of x plus delta x. Then the y changes to what? It will be transferred to the right side. Hence, it is cos of x plus delta x minus y. What is y? Y is what? I am deriving for cos. I am deriving for cos. Only few steps will be changed to get the derivative of cos. See, here we are changing, same procedure we have to follow. Got it? then we are taking limit as delta and limit on both side as delta x tends to 0, then it will become what? This sign become cos, this become cos. Use cos c minus cos d formula, cos c minus cos d formula. Cos c minus cos d is always minus 2 into sine of c plus d by 2 into sine of c minus d by 2. So, according to that it will become what? Minus 2 into cos become sine. This is always in sine only, because cos c minus cos d is minus 2 sin c plus d by 2 sin c minus d by 2. This sign remains as it is, only this thing we have to change. Then this is minus 2, this become what? Sine. This is also sine. Then finally you will have minus of sine. Differentiation of cos x, differentiation of cos x is what? Minus sin x. This is the same procedure, only this formula will be changed, cos c minus cos d. For every other steps other steps are common. So, we derived differentiation of x to the power of n is what? N into x to the power of n minus 1. We derived differentiation of sin x is cos x. We derived differentiation of cos x is minus sin x. Like that you can derive, or you can get the derivative of all the functions you will have a you can come across in trigonometric function or algebraic function, anything you can take. So, we are finding derivative of the function with respect to x. You can also find derivative of with respect to any variable. So, I have shown the examples how to get the derivative of a function using first principle method. So, based on that you try for tan log e power x secant x cot x cosecant x also. Fourth one, I will take y is equal to tan x. As x changes to x plus delta x, then automatically y become what? Y plus delta y. Y become y plus delta y. You just remember, recall them, recall the steps. Tan become what? Tan of x become x plus delta x. In the next step, delta y is equal to what? Y is transferred to the right side. Tan of x plus delta x minus y. What is y? Y is taken as tan x. Delta y is equal to tan of x plus delta x minus y. Y is equal to what? Tan x. Here next we have to divide by delta x, right. So, doing that step I will take it later on, because it needs some other simplification. We know that tan is equal to what? Sin a divided by cos a. So, according to that, delta y is equal to sin of x plus delta x divided by cos of x plus delta x minus tan x. Tan x can be taken as what? Sin x divided by cos x. Before dividing with delta x and taking limit on both sides, we have to follow certain simplification, then we will proceed those steps. Next here we have to take LCM. What is LCM? cos of x plus delta x and cos x are different terms, is it right? Therefore, their product will become LCM. Cos of x plus delta x and cos x are different term, therefore, their product will become LCM. Then the numerator become what? This into this, numerator of first into denominator of second, minus or plus whatever it is we have to take, then denominator of second into numerator of first, that is sin of x plus delta x into cos x minus cos of x plus delta x into sin x. When we take the product of the denominator term as LCM, we will take like this, this into this minus or plus this into this. You look at the numerator, numerator is of this form, numerator is of this form, sin A cos B minus cos A sin B, compound angle form. Sin A cos B minus cos A sin B is always equal to sin of A minus B. What is A? A is this. What is B? B is x. According to that, delta y become sin of A. A is what? A is x plus delta x, x plus delta x minus B. What is B? B is x. The denominator we have same thing, cos of x plus delta x into cos x. This x cancelled. Now you divide with delta x and you can take the limit as delta x tends to 0. Divide by delta x and take limit as delta x tends to 0 on both sides. We can take simultaneously. The left hand side become what? Limit of delta x tends to 0, delta y divided by delta x is equal to limit of delta x tends to 0. What is at the right side? Right hand term is what? Sin delta x divided by cos x plus delta x into cos x. Sin of delta x divided by cos of x plus delta x into cos x. This is equal to limit delta x tends to 0. I should divide whole thing divided by delta x, because we have to dividing by delta x on both sides now. So, this delta x goes to what? Again denominator of denominator, then it can be altered like this only. I can take here into 1 divided by cos of x plus delta x into cos x. Apply the limit, this will become what? It is a standard form, limit of theta tends to 0, sin theta by theta is what? 1, that is why whose value become 1. Apply the limit for this, 1 divided by cos of x plus 0 into cos x, that is 1 into anything is same thing, 1 divided by cos x into cos x, that is 1 by cos square. We know that 1 by cos is what? 1 divided by cos A is always equal to secant A. According to that, this left hand side limit is taken as dy divided by dx. Therefore, differentiation of tan x is also equal to secant square x. Differentiation of tan x is always secant square x. So, we got the derivatives of few functions, that is x to the power of n, sin x, cos x and tan x. For some other trigonometric functions, you can also find the derivative as for log x and for e power x also. You look at the slides, there I will show it on slides. You see differentiation of e power x. You look at this slide, we have taken y is equal to e power x. As x changes to x plus delta x, automatically y changes to y plus delta y, where delta x and delta y are increments of x and y. See, y changes to y plus delta y, e power x plus delta x, then y is taken to right side. We have followed the same procedure, that is e power x plus delta x minus e power x, because y is equal to what? This is e power x. E power x I will divide e power x plus delta x as e power x into e power delta x. You can take e power x as common, because both the terms are having e power x, therefore that is taken common. Then remaining is e power delta x minus 1. Then I took the limit as delta x tends to 0 on both sides. This is standard limit. This is standard limit whose value is always 1. Therefore, derivative of e power x is equal to e power x only. You look at the next side. I have taken for constant. You can take it function, or you can also take it as constant. Derivative of a constant. What is k? K is a constant. Here y is constant of function. Therefore, if there is a change in x, there will be a no change in y, because there is no x term at all. See, y is equal to k only. X is not there at the right hand side. Therefore, as there is a change in x, there will be a no change in y. Hence, dy by dx is equal to what? 0 by anything is 0. If I take the limit, therefore differentiation of any constant is always 0. You see the examples. What are the constant? Without x term, they are treated as constant. Differentiation of constant is 0. Differentiation of a square, a is what? A is a constant whose derivative is also 0. Differentiation of 3 by 2, 3 by 2, it is also a numerical value, its value is 0. Differentiation of e power x, e power any number, e power any number is also 0. Differentiation of log 20, whose value is also 0, because differentiation of any constant, differentiation of any constant is always 0. So, we derived some of the derivative of standard functions. You just remember all those things. Based on that, we will go for rules of differentiation and problems on rules of differentiation. So, with this I will conclude my session at this stage. Thank you very much.